You just need to know what's going on, especially if it's an elderly parent as they get older. And again, you want to have it in place before you need it. Your place in my life is when my mother was still alive, may she rest in peace, and she was moving back to LA. We were trying to originally find a place for her to live. And that's when I first heard about a place for mom. And this was probably 15 years ago. And at least 12 years ago. It was right around the time before I got my dad. And I remember going to, you guys gave me a full list of places to visit, and visiting those places with my mom, fell in love with a couple of them. I was able to prepare for, because we decided ultimately that she would just live with me as well. But I was able to prepare and know that if it ever came to her needing more assistance than I could provide, um, she could, you guys had given me the tools to find those places. And I'd already ticked off a couple of places, and even had one of those places still in mind for dad. His needs, he needed a smaller place than I discovered for my mom, and he was less socially able to move and be around people than she would have been. But it was nice to know that I had those places already picked out. So can you tell us a little bit about how a place for mom moves, how you guys support people, and what services you provide that are so amazing that I can attest to personally?
Well, thank you. Again, thanks for that feedback. I love to hear that. And
Yeah.
I am very passionate about helping families because, everybody's journey is a little bit different. You definitely see some similarities. But I think one thing that is really beneficial is that you get to talk to like your own personal advisor. So right off the bat, you have a listening ear. And sometimes it is those conversations, as I mentioned, like the tears just start flowing because there's some guilt, but it's a safe space to share, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on with me or my family. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to
Yeah.
turn. I don't know
Yeah.
what's out there. And that is a very common, real conversation that happens daily. And so it's a time for us to just kind of break things down and just say, hey, tell me about your loved one, what's going on. But then also, how are you doing? And how does this fit into the puzzle? Or are there other family members involved? And again, it's just being aware and encouraging families. Hey, here are some resources, whether it is getting home care to come in and help, or gosh, it is really time, but we don't feel like they're safe at home, or we can't manage with our caregiver, or we live out of state. Maybe we look for an assisted living, whatever that is, that we can help families kind of guide in that journey. And sometimes too, it's even a suggestion that, oh, I didn't think of that. I didn't realize I could do that. Oh, I could get help with a respite stay until we figure things out and just a
Yeah.
short-term stay. But I love the fact too, because the other part of it, the encouragement is just like, know your resources. If it's not something that you're going to do right now, maybe it's down the road, or maybe as with your dad, the care changes and it's
Yeah.
just that time. And then I think people feel a little bit more in control, even though we don't, ultimately have
Ever.
control of our parents' health.
Right.
But having a little bit like, okay, I know what's out there, or I know what it's going to cost. And I think the other piece of that is like the other resources that even go along with that yes, people usually come to us because one of their family members needs care or they need help. Whether they are looking at senior housing and they're not really sure, but sometimes it's even like financial resources. Like what can I tap that's out there that they don't even know about? Like
Mm.
VA benefits, aid in
Yeah.
attendance. And so many families don't know about that. If they've served, hey, that's a great benefit to tap into. Or, hey,
Yeah.
do your parents have long-term care insurance? Let's talk through the financial piece. Because that's the other piece that's really scary. It's like,
Ooh.
okay, how
Yeah.
are we going to pay for all this? So let's,
Yeah.
and I think with most advisors, when we're talking to families, we're going to try to break that down for people so they can be mindful, or maybe they go back to family and do some research. And not only that is there's so many great resources nationally, but also locally, like Alzheimer's Association, Parkinson's Association. If the Elder Life Financial, maybe they have a house, but they don't have enough funding. So, I'm kind of shooting off a lot of these different resources, but depending on what the family needs, and then kind of digesting that with them and saying, there are resources that you can tap into.
Yeah.
And that's the other part I love is hopefully, helping families guide them through this, one of their most difficult journeys.
Truly.
And so, and I'm interested to hear too, like what your advice, because you've done it, like you've been in it. And as I said, your dad's so lucky to have you and you've done your research. Like what are some things that you would tell maybe other people that are caregivers are going through this and they're not sure what to do?
The thing that I tell everyone immediately when they're facing possibly stepping into care for someone, especially an elderly parent, you need a durable power of attorney. That's the first thing that I tell people, one that will kick in only when they need you. Because the problem is if you wait until they're debilitated, you don't have the legal ability. There's calls I have to make to the Medicare system and to his pension. And if I'm not listed as the person that can make those calls, they will not, and they shouldn't. They won't share HIPAA information or that type of financial
Yes.
information. So you need to make sure that you have that in place to kick in as soon as they need you. Same thing for any medical decisions you have to make as a child, as the child or the person that's responsible for those things. So that's important. This is a simple one that I did just because I heard that there could be problems later. I made sure that I was on my dad and my mom's bank account. So I wasn't in their business. I didn't touch their money. I don't have anything to do with their money in regards to what comes out or goes in. But if something happens and a decision needs to be made, I want to be able to make it and not have to worry about how is dad going to pay for this? Or dad can't sign checks anymore. I can sign checks. So I sign the checks for his board and care. You see what I mean? And if I was not already on the account and had checks with my name and his name, I wouldn't be able to do that for him. And these are things that when terrible things happen or unexpected things happen to your loved one, you don't want to be scrambling. All of your energy is used in getting them healthy, finding them a safe place to sleep, or bringing care into their home. All of these things need to be done. And most people, I was blessed that I have the type of job where I work sometimes I'm off. I have a very flexible schedule. So I could be home or make the calls or go visit the places. If you have a full-time job, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that when you're under the gun? So a place for mom is also beautiful because you guys do a lot of that legwork and walk people through the things that they're going to need that they don't even know they need, right?
That's, yeah, so true, that they don't even know they need.
They don't even
And
know they need.
everything that you're saying just resonates with me for the
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of conversations that I've had
Mhm.
over the years, because we do hear people that scramble. And then again,
Yeah.
that's even more stress on the caregiver because they're like,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, I need this. Or, what something that comes to mind is especially with dementia and getting on the account, because I also say, you sometimes walk a fine line with the financial piece, but you do want to help protect your parents too.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
they're writing checks that they don't know where it's going because there's some memory stuff going on, you
Yeah.
want to protect them as well.
Yeah.
And that is such a valid whole piece of this, the caregiving and,
Yeah.
what to
And
do in the different steps.
it also helps in regards to elder abuse. I've been hearing so much about what's happening in the world where there's a lot of love scams and things that older people are falling victim to just because they don't understand about clicking links and stuff and they're believing what people hear. So that's also important to make sure that you can go in and see, where did mommy send money? Who did daddy talk to and why did he what you just need to know what's going on, especially if it's an elderly parent as they get older. And again, you want to have it in place before you need it in place. The other thing that I would say, the other advice I would give is make sure you talk to your loved one about what they want done to them medically. If there's something, if there's someone they don't want something heroic done, if they need a ventilator or any types of things like that. As health deteriorates, as life happens, sometimes you have to make a quick decision, and you need to know what your loved one wants. Do they want to be
Yeah.
buried? Do they want to be cremated? Like these are all questions that go into all of the planning, and you have the hard conversation once, and you never have to have it again. But you know what they want. You know what their comfort level is about care. All of the things.
Yeah.
All of the things.
That is so true. It's such a stressful time. And I use the word stress a lot because I can hear it in people's voices all the time.
Yes.
The caregivers, the ones
Yeah.
that are calling. And then sometimes there's the family dynamics that are involved and who's the caregiver, who is maybe staying with
Yeah.
mom or dad. And then you have another sibling or another sister in another state or different. And it's like kind of coming together and having family meetings and figuring out a plan. And that's, one of the reasons I love our service, because I'm like, whether you're just starting out or you are in panic mode, like we'll try to help guide you and hopefully give the caregiver a little peace of mind too, that that it's okay to have the conversation. You don't have to feel guilty, even if you're just starting to research,
Yeah.
if you're just
Okay.
saying, hey, I want to know what's out there and I want to know what it looks like, or I want to go tour a place. You just step by step, and then it isn't so overwhelming for them either.
And
So
And what's beautiful about A Place for Mom is that you guys are not pushy. And when you're already in tender time, you need somebody to be a little gentle with you and walk you through it in a way that it doesn't feel like you're being sold. It's not about where you go. It's just let us help you find a place for mom or dad. And I think
Yes.
that's really amazing. And I even saw some of your signage. A friend was having surgery a few years ago, and I saw pamphlets for A Place for Mom in the hospital. And I thought, what a perfect place for it, because a lot of the things that lead to needing a caregiver, it's stuff that happens in a hospital. And you're
Yeah.
at your wits end. You just got this really horrible news or scary news or, news that you weren't expecting. And your brain is going, what do I do? What do I do? And then there's this great little piece of information that says, if you need us, we're here. And then when you make the call, it's kind, loving people that walk you through what could be one of the most difficult times of your life.